with us an exceptional list of panelists who are excelling in their domains. And allow me to introduce everyone to you all. So we have with us Deepa, who is the Finance and Transformation Head at ELGi. Welcome, Deepa.
Thank you.
We have with us Priya, who is the Assistant General Manager at the Information Technology team at ELGi.
Hi.
Hi, Priya. And we have with us Minambika, who is the ELGi School Principal.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And finally, Abhinaya, who is the Senior Officer with the legal team.
Yeah,
so welcome, Abhinaya, to this discussion. So it's going to be a round of discussion that we will have. And I'm really excited for us to go on with it. So, ma'am, over to you. You're slightly different from the corporate setup, but you are from academia. Everybody's educational career begins with school, where our education and our foundations are set. So I would want to understand from you your perspective of how it is you're coming from a very female-dominated industry where there are a lot of teachers who are women, but yet do you think that biases still exist when it comes to leadership positions?
This is maybe the only industry which is female-dominated when it comes to teaching. But when it comes to leadership, things are improving, but there are less women leaders, especially in higher education. Maybe because I see, in my opinion, there are two reasons for it. A, women do not conform to the male or masculine ideals of leadership. They may be a little more collaborative and empathetic, which is seen as a weakness. So there are various styles of leadership. You need not be authoritative. You can be assertive and then things can get done. No offense to men. Women can excel if they want to in these fields. So that is why, there is a slight bias, but things are improving.
Moving to you, Deepa. So you have worked in the industry 20 years and you have been in finance.
Yes.
So what significant shifts have you seen in the industry during this time, particularly with women's participation?
What I've observed through the 20 years of my corporate life is at levels when we start out, there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of women who are actually there in the workforce, but it tapers down as you grow in your career. A lot of times, to ma'am's point of view also, there are two things that happen. One, of course, there's a very deep-rooted conditioning of how a woman must behave in the corporate place. She's expected to show empathy / you slightly hover over between empathy to aggression. There's that very thin line of what is viewed as empathy versus when we're putting your foot down on certain things at leadership positions. For a woman, it's viewed as aggression. For a male, not so much. So they kind of, you double guess your own strengths very often as you grow in the career. And I think that setback I've seen brings down the number of people who actually grow in the career ladder as in finance as well. Needless to say, there are today a lot of women in finance who actually equally contribute even in senior leadership positions. That shift is happening. It's a very deep-rooted change that we are bringing, so I'm not going to see that shift overnight, but I am seeing that shift. I have colleagues, I have people I work with who are in the workforce, women along with me. I've seen a whole lot of women. I've worked in very large women-centric teams in finance, so there's absolutely no question that the shift is happening.
I understand that. So now I also feel that, another female, not dominated, at least where there are fairly more number of women, is the legal team, where we have many women joining the workforce, joining the law schools. So as per one of the studies, 75% of corporate legal departments have diversity initiatives, but even then there are gender gaps that still remain. So how can companies enforce inclusivity in legal terms? And Abhinaya, you would be the right person to answer this.
Sure. So yes, we have the diversity initiatives in place, but when it comes to gender gaps, it is not the same, Malin. So I would say it is evolving. So it is not the same from the older time. Like implementing something in a legal team, I would say it should not be either male dominated or be female dominated. It should be a profession by itself. So it's already wrongly driven as a male dominated profession. Why should we again pull it as a women dominated? So we should focus more on keeping it as a profession by itself. Either dominated by man or women, it should not be a matter. it should not be a material impact thing that it can make. So we will have to drive it, making it as a profession rather than being dominated by men or women. So that would be my perspective.
I think
In
you
this
would like
age
to
and
add.
time, every profession should be gender agnostic.
That's
Exactly.
true. It's
Right.
based on meritocracy
Yeah.
more than gender, right?
Gender,
There is nothing that stops a woman from doing.
Yeah, true.
There's no man's job or a woman's
Woman's
job,
job.
if you will.
Absolutely. And
I think what Merlin tries to say is there are still biases.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
are we as women
Working,
leaders going to
yeah.
overcome them? That is,
Yes.
I think that is
Yeah.
what you're driving.
and that's exactly what I want to know from you, Priya. That how is it that how can organizations encourage more women to take leadership roles? How do you think we should do that?
Leadership is a trait, I would say. For some, it is natural. Okay, be it wherever it is, maybe a woman in the family or in a group of relatives, whatever. She takes a leadership role. Many times we say you see women leaders there, but it's a trait. For some, it comes naturally, but for others, it's not that they don't have. Only thing they just have to develop it. That is what I would say. Leadership, it does. Some is natural. For some, you need to develop it. So how do you develop it? When you start working, what I feel is it comes with the job. So when you start working, it comes with the job in the sense when you get the opportunity, grab that opportunity, take that leadership position, drive what you want to do in your work. So that is one thing where you can develop your leadership skills. And corporate companies generally are now looking at trainings. They're giving leadership coaching. So where you can take up that training, imbibe into your culture, put it in your work, and then prove yourself. And also, when in a corporate environment like this, you are able to get mentors. You can reach out to mentors within the organization, maybe male or female, where they can also help you to drive you into the leadership positions.
That's a very interesting perspective Priya brought, right? So the way I think of it is also, it's very akin to education. Leadership itself, if you're willing to learn, you're always going to evolve as a leader, you're always going to be growing as a leader. So you have to also be almost like a sponge, taking in from the environment, learning from the people you interact with, because it's never about the position. It's about who you are, how do people respect you, are they willing to take your points of view and have a very balanced conversation with you. So leadership, we often think it's position, it's not position, it's just how open you are to working with diverse set of people, diverse ideas, diverse thought processes, which makes you a
Yes, I
leader
agree
that
with
stands
Deepa. It's
out.
not about the position. Leadership is a trait. That's what it's a
Exactly.
trait. It's a trait. It is not about the position. You don't need to hold a big position in a company or be the matron of the family.
Absolutely.
And it starts from the very young age in school.
Absolutely.
Yes.
If
Right.
you give that kind of exposure and
Yes.
experience,
Yes, and you must have quite first-hand experience with children, and since you have a very extensive career as well, so have you seen any exceptional leadership traits that you've noticed?
yeah, so you just have to give them that kind of an exposure, opportunity. So when you give them the opportunity to, decide for themselves what are the issues around them, how do they want to deal with it. If girls say we don't get enough time to play cricket because boys are always playing cricket. I'm just giving one small example. Or if a boy is doing a experiment on the spectrometer and the girl wants, and like when I was in school, I was told this. That was ages back. The gender biases were more deep then. So I was told, wait, let the boy do first because he has to earn a living out of whatever he's studying now. What will you do? You'll be in the kitchen only. So those kinds of statements were there when I was in school, but things have changed a lot.
Yes.
So now we try to give that kind of an exposure, experience in class, so that girls or all students, as I said, gender agnostic, they should get that taste of leadership. So it's not as they mentioned, it's not a position.
Yes.
It is
That is
something
through the
which comes,
education.
Yeah, and as you initially mentioned, it's also about that small decisions that you have the liberty to
Correct.
take, and then you stick
Exactly.
to it and
Exactly.
you explore it for yourself. Abhinay, would you like to add on to
I think
this?
it should also start from the parenting thing.
Right.
So
Right.
parents would definitely want to they should allow their children to decide what they want to do.
Right.
We can actually give all the pros and cons to the children, but the decision should come from their end. So the leadership quality, I think it should be a part of parenting, that all the parents should do at least. It is not done so far. I think from now it has to be taken care of.
Yes, yes. No, I feel I agree with it, because usually it's the parents who would put restrictions in a child's mind that, this is what you're supposed to do as a girl or as a boy. But if that seed itself is not there
No, I think that I agree with it. Probably 30, 40 years back, yes, that kind of situation. Now you find that both the man and the husband and wife are both educated. Education is bringing a lot of change.
Right.
So now they share the work at home. Now if you see the ads, if you see, the man is only doing the laundry. Man is only bringing the coffee to his wife. So there's a shift. The perspective shift has already come in place in the society as such.
Right.
But however, in the family, as what she said, the woman is also educated. So she gives that leverage to the child to take up the leadership position or make her own decision, make the child her or boy, the girl's decision. So I would say basically the education is which is driving us towards the women empowerment, I would say.
True. Absolutely. I also feel that since it's like some of them are just treading the waters or testing the waters for the first time, there is an important role of mentors as well.
Yes.
So that they can guide them properly about how. So that again, it's not that, just because you're a woman, you'll need a mentor, but I feel that it's agnostic. You have to need a mentor to excel in any career or any field that you have. So what are your thoughts on having a mentor in your work? Yeah.
Maybe I can start. I think it's super important. In my career, I have had a whole lot of mentors who've helped me stay honest to the course that I want to chart for myself. So for me, my mentors do two things. One, they act as my sounding boards. When in doubt, I actually just go to my mentor to understand whether I'm thinking, correctly or not thinking correctly. So I'm also using my mentor as my coach to always level set expectations and know, very, very importantly, my mentors, some of my choicest mentors are people who worked with me for a very long time. So they also keep me honest on my limitations and what I'm good at. Because there is sometimes this overwhelming need to prove yourself, and you go all out. You enter into a rabbit hole you can't pull yourself out of. That's where I use my mentors. I use them as a rope to pull me out of something that I'm going to get stuck in personally, right? So I have a lot of mentors, and I also believe that women it is beyond the thread. We are conditioned in such a manner that we tend to do your work, go back home, manage home. We're very boxed in that sense. But I've really worked hard to make myself available for myself to network and create these mentors across domains, across areas. So I have few mentors who help me from soft skills, I have few mentors who help me and I have various mentors doing specific things. I reach out to them for specific things, I keep in touch, I meet them, and I think that's super important. We have to develop that trait because it really, really helps us in the long term.
And as she said, mentors, they inspire.
Yeah.
B, they will give you the practical tools to surpass challenges, be resilient and succeed in your objectives. So your mentors are really, really important.
And mentors, what I want to say is mentors do not necessarily be higher up in the echelon of your career. You can have your subordinates also can be a mentor where they can guide you on some doubts or whatever you want. So like we say, you should have a mix of many people.
Absolutely. So talking about technology and evolution, I think we cannot not mention the elephant in the room, and we have to discuss about AI and its immense effect that it has on our day-to-day lives, on the work that we do. So Priya, since you're from the IT team, I would like to know your perspective of what AI brings to the table and how can one future-proof themselves with this emerging new technologies.
On the AI perspective, I would like to bring what in MG Connect, what MD recommended. What he said was, there was a question on how is AI going to help us in our business. It actually is based on the data. So if your data is good, your output is going to be good. So the AI is going to give you good results. So AI as such, even though there are multiple streams of AI, I would recommend, if at all you want to adapt to the AI culture, you ensure your data is clean. You bring your data which is very clean so that you get the results that is expected out of it. And more of recommending what is the future-proofing your skills or whatever, I would say it depends on the passion of the individual. Let's say I like coding, I can do coding. Somebody wants to do only analytics, take the data, see the data, slice and dice the data. I think that is more of the individual's perspective. So passion is what is actually driving you in learning AI or adapting to the AI culture. One statement I would want to make is, if at all you want to use AI, let's say in a day-to-day operationally or whatever you want to use it, let's say you want to draft a mail, you write your own mail. Then use your chat GPT or whatever, see whether it works fine. So, and then you learn from it so that you improve your skills. So that way it's a continuous learning where you can bring up your skills up and you can hone your skills and be successful in your life. I would look at AI only in that perspective rather than totally depend on AI for each and everything.
So a lot of these automations and tools are also used in the finance sector now.
Yes.
So how do you see AI?
That's a great question, because my role here itself in transformation is also to bring that shift, right? And I think it's important for us to understand as finance professionals that our foundation is absolutely necessary. We can't not be accountants. We have to know what we have to know as a technical accountant. That is a no-brainer. But at this point in time, given that there is technology that is coming forth, we also need to be able to embrace that change and be ready to understand how technology is going to support us, how to use it. I often use this word, I really believe in it. I keep saying that I use digital or technology as my ally. So for me, digitally as a word is digital as your ally, ALLY. That's how I see digital. And that's how I want to see people almost becoming a man-machine kind of a ecosystem where you're using technology to help you do certain things that you would otherwise, spend too much of manual time doing, and then elevate yourself and up your game to doing more analytical, more thought-provoking things. So that's how finance professionals have to look at digital. Now, how do you do that? There are multiple ways. I think the first most important way, which I've learned again personally, is, again, I call this skill, I have my own name for it, I call this skill being an interpreter. Knowing how to talk the language of both a technology person and a finance person, because often we are dependent on technology teams to deliver what we want as a solution. And when we give our requirements, we are thinking from an accountant's point of view. We fail to understand that we are working with another team, which is thus far has been operating as a silo team, but now they're a partner, which means I need to know the language or interpret it in such a manner that they can understand what my requirements are and give me that solution. There's partnership, there's collaboration. So some of the things that, while we talk AI, core skills that I think finance people need to develop is collaboration. The ability to work with technology, the ability to actually think that that is going to help me, not take on my jobs, and then find better things to do with that free time, if you will. That's, I think, the best thing for finance professionals to do.
AI was thrown on to us that, regardless of where you are, what you're doing, you have to learn AI and you have to get accustomed to the automation that the industry brings. So in a school curriculum, how do we ensure that kids are accustomed to this new trend of technology that's coming in?
So right from the young age, like grade 2, 3, my grade 3 children are using Scratch to design quizzes and games. So right from grade 3 onwards, 1 also, like our children when they are born, give them a mobile and they'll go through it very easily without teaching them. It's like learning mother tongue for them now. Learning technology is like learning mother tongue. So right from the young age, if you give them exposure and experience and opportunity to dabble with technology, do science experiments, math experiments, integrate it with technology, coding, games, robotics clubs. If you give that kind of an experience, there's no doubt that they will, take into technology as fish to water. So that is happening. It's easier for children. It is a little difficult for educators to do that shift, because now educators can have, as she said, all the admin job can be done by like attendance or data, assessment data. Before this, we used to make our question papers, make a blueprint and make a question paper, then conduct it, check it, put the data, put it on the sheet, Excel sheet, and go through it, analyze it ourselves. Now AI can do all that. So whatever the spare time you have, you can use it to enhance creativity, curiosity, make problems sums or make problem statements for students, help them bring out their creativity. So yeah, but there is another responsibility with the educators, how to use it ethically and responsibly, all these tools. So everybody has to be digitally
savvy,
aware and technologically fluent, but at the same time, how to use it ethically.
Know your boundaries.
So to answer the one-liner for your question is, give them the experience right from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And talking about knowing the barriers of where and how can you draw the line of using AI, I'm drawn to you, Abhinay, to understand what is the legal aspect of it. Do you also use AI, and how do you see that shifting, AI shifting the future of legal cases?
Yes, Marlene. So I would start from AI. When something new is evolving and it is becoming so common among humans, there should be a manual. So whatever machines or whatever we bought or whatever we use, there should be a manual on how to use it, where to stop it. So that is more effective, more efficient way of using it, I would say. So when it comes to AI in legal perspective, I would say we can use AI for collating data. Forming data, we have data in hand, we want something to collate the data and give us a big summary saying that what has been done so far, what is the future, and things like that. But the ultimate decision, when law is more of human emotions, so I think AI can't match it. Not for now, but maybe in future, but for now it is definitely not. So when I studied law, I've studied the legal aspects of law, how it has been drafted, and the other side is natural law, which is about humans. We need to know about humans to compare them with law and to mingle them with law to come to a conclusion. So when I say that, let's say for a murder has happened. So the AI can give you the data, what is the consequences of murder and how it's been committed and thing. Only when a human knowledge or human brain is there are some aspects where we can kneel down into and see whether it's been done out of provocation, sudden provocation or things like that. So it's basically a human emotion that is connected with law. So I would say that it is the saddest part of AI that it can pronounce verdicts, which it is not supposed to do, to the best of my knowledge, and the things that it is not that how AI should work in legal departments. Right. So the verdict is something which is the final conclusion for a person. See, verdict plays a major role. If he's been convicted, he is convicted. So it plays a major role on a human's life. So I think we should have a manual. We should know where to stop using it.
So IQ and EQ. Yes. The emotional quotient plays a major role.
Absolutely. And especially when the nowadays AI is not just referring to you putting a prompt on a software or a website. It's also about driverless cars, or there are a lot of machineries which are included in AI. So I feel that there has to be a proper manual for us to judge whether it is good or not.